Get up that way too.
Started getting better, but I think
I'm down in Rock Hill, south of here.
For rosacea.
Very often either.
Okay.
You need one of those gavel fingers.
I know. We actually get like some kind of like I don't know, not something that abrupt. Like the gavel represents like tyranny, you know, like something like a harp. You know, something,
School bell.
When I was teaching
wind chime.
elementary school, I had a gong.
Gong's a good idea, or a wind chime, right? Just maybe a wind chime, one of them ones that's set up like this. So,
oh wait, we have technology. We have technology. Hold on, what are we doing here?
Kill the technology for sound.
The long-term gene is antibiotic.
Yeah, what happens so much in these situations is folks just don't keep very good records about all this stuff.
Then
They can sell something, it takes forever to figure it out.
14, I think it was.
Always tell people it's like everything
Unavailable.
bye.
There we go.
Right?
And then
And it had no effect.
Just start talking.
what I thought was gluten sensitivity, and finally process.
Epic.
See, for instance, walnuts. I thought, well, that would be good, and I got a reaction. So
Let's try this.
I found that walnuts could be gluten contaminated, so I got gluten-free walnuts. Same reaction.
No?
That's how, yeah, you gotta be kidding me. Yes.
No? Yes? All right, so we're about to start. We're talking about gavel, but I was like, that's too abrupt. We got to have another, you know. So I tried a harp, it had no effect. So I tried a gong on low setting, didn't have effect. Gong on high had close to the desired effect. So we'll work it out. If it's in the room and it's audible, I think that, yeah, we'll work something out. There's plenty of thrift and pawn stores around that have, you know, comparable items. I'm sure we can just even have a little bong or something. You know, people would get the idea. Yeah, anyway, so I'm probably not actually going to do it. It's just a joke.
And when we get unruly.
Okay, so totally different today because there's such a vast conversation on the discussion board. I decided on one of two possible formats for tonight. One, I could be hardcore devil's advocate, take off the debate gloves and go to town on this one, right? Not representing my point of view, representing a point of view, right? And we can just let it fly, or we can draft as if, since you know the consensus is that humans are animals of just some degree, right? In various ways, certain strengths, certain mental capabilities, certain aspects of the brain are advanced. Some are this, some are that, right? And we have all these commonalities and ways that we can compare and contrast ourselves with other animals. We all kind of get that at this point from the message board and whatnot. So what I was thinking of is that imagine if we could do a mental exercise together as a group, right? So there's two choices that we're going to vote on, right? Which is we never do this, but we're going to vote on two options for tonight. One is you all or people can decide to take me. I'll advocate for animal eating, right? Why I'll advocate for it, right? And regardless of the suffering and all the other stuff that's been stated, I can do this, right? I can take that point of view, which of course is not my point of view. Like I said, I'll argue from a perspective. Or number two, we can imagine that we're at the table with all the animals of the world, and we have some way we could possibly communicate with them. Let's say, right? There was a universal way that we could communicate with each other. Let's say. Precisely, not just through.
I'll be the dolphin.
By like, yeah, the dolphin. Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to hear the impressions. Yeah, so we can imagine that another species from another planet, an alien species from another world, comes to our world, and they have us be on every measure intelligence, you know, by thousands of magnitude over, right? Intelligence, strength, they're amazingly strength. There's no comparison of any animal on Earth compared to this organism from another planet. And they come down and there is no differential between humans and other animals, right?
And so imagine this is just a mental exercise. Our technology has advanced far enough to where all the animals of this planet can communicate, okay? And we do. And we're trying to put forward a proposal to this other alien species that comes in, validating why we shouldn't be eaten and abused cruelly and just treated as pets or taken as pets, right?
I see it falling apart from the get-go.
Okay, so this is what this blank sheet of paper is for, is to draft up what we propose to be a Bill of Rights that we would have with us, not just human rights, a Bill of Rights for us and all the other species of the planet, right? That we would then submit as a proposal, if you will, to this imaginary species, or debate. So debate is the first option. This kind of universal animal, human, Earth Bill of Rights, Earthlings, and all the meaning every, entity living entity on Earth, Earthlings. Bill of Rights is option 2. So we'll do just a quick vote. Option 1, who wants to do that? The debate. Bill, okay, 1. Who wants to do the second one? Okay, 3, 4. Okay, well, okay. So what we're going to do then tonight is we'll make up this statements, and I think that we're going to run into some problems in doing this, but that's the whole point, right? And but I think we can have a lot of fun doing this. So imagine then, for argument's sake, we are the elected council. Bill, sorry.
Well, I was just wondering, there was no discussion before the vote.
Right.
Yeah, that's, I gave the 2 options.
Yeah, I know, but there was no discussion.
Are you going to advocate for one or the other?
Well, I think the reaction that I have to what has been decided upon is that it is so out of keeping with the reality of what we're dealing with that it's way off, because in other words, that it's not going to be helpful in working on the actual problem that we have.
Okay.
And so I don't know, it might be fun to, imagine that all species on Earth had equal intelligence and speech ability and so forth, and could talk with this entity. But I think that's the arguments in that would not be applicable to the actual situation that we have on this Earth, that I think is important and needs to be worked on.
Okay, so the argument kind of is raised on the meetup throughout the course of the last few days. That got quite intense and quite verbose, right? Is that there's, of course, all these animals have feelings. I mean, you can see them in pain, you can see them suffering, you can see the cruelty. Videos shared to this extent. It's almost non-debatable, right? It probably is non-debatable, right? There's definitely suffering happening amongst, especially species of any intelligence, right? But these, as Sun pointed out, which he isn't here, of course, tonight, because he had some radical things to say, but what he pointed out was that he said something I thought was really insightful, but it didn't get much airplay, was that they don't have a voice, they don't have an advocate, they don't have a representative, right? So what I was doing is saying, what a great idea. Let's imagine we were that representative. What would we do? And so, to put it in some kind of a fun way, I said in alien species, we could put it in the perspective of let's say we were the advocates for all the animals and there was no other advocates of the animals, because they have no voice, they don't have vocal cords they can't express, right? So that was the idea behind that one, that idea, right?
What are we going to assume is true on planet Earth? That indeed what's had to happen for life to develop is that it feeds on itself, and that so animals eat animals. Are we going to include that as part of the condition of this situation?
I thought that would arise in debating the different species they'd be talking about. We're carnivores, all we do is eat meat, we can't help it. And then the ones that are being eaten by them say, yes, but this is complete, tyranny, and we have to do something about this. There has to be a moderation. They just feed as much as they can. They don't do things in moderation. We understand, this kind of dialogue I expected. But we can, by all means, we can maybe even do both if we want to, right? But we've never done before an actual think tank in here where we actually crafted a document together. like we've done that in the Saturday group about nutrition and health and wellness so far. We've started to pull together a document, and it's I'm really liking the way it's shaping up. But we've never had a collective mind here, like kind of a mastermind principle for an evening. We've never done this. We've talked, of course, but we've never, like, if we were to put a statement, we've never done that before. So I think those would be two options. Please, yeah.
I think I would like to advocate for the second choice in the fact that our kind of like our perspective has just newly arisen to grant animals consciousness and emotional lives. And that's a kind of like a new thing for science and stuff. And so I think what we need to do is open up to a wide perspective, wide viewpoints. And I think just by getting a different viewpoint will shift our minds enough that it would justify the imagination over the knowledge.
Okay. So would anybody else like to advocate? We'll vote again. We'll do another vote after the. Sure, I think Ben was first.
So I think it's important to point out that we're talking about the rights of slaves who we intend to continue being slaves. Animals are property, and they will continue to be property.
Right. So what we're doing right now is we're seeing if anybody wants to advocate for two possible things we can discuss this evening. One, option A was, and I'll do it really brief here. Option A was just imagine a full-on debate. I would debate from the side with all the gloves off that, meat eating is the right answer. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. With all the gloves off, and because I've now researched it quite a bit, right? So that would be option A. Option B is we work together creating a universal rights, Bill of Rights for all sentient beings, or all, conscious, sentient, intelligent animals, mammals, however you want to look at it. We create together a unified Bill of Rights, as if an alien species were to come down and have totally vast superiority to us, and we're basically pets at this point, humans and every other animal on this planet. We're trying to create a document then to advocate for our collective rights, humans and animals combined. That was option B.
Okay, so I'm going to advocate for the second one. Without discrimination toward a particular life form, that means that if you give animals rights, AIDS has to have the same rights.
Okay, interesting.
All
right, so you're advocating for B. So Cosmo advocated for B. So far, Bill's
the rights of
A.
I like the idea of B. When I started to describe it, it reminded me of the science fiction story that I read when I was in my early 20s. That at that point reminded me that I wanted to be vegetarian as a child, and it was that exact scenario.
Wait, you're a vegetarian?
I was vegetarian in my 20s.
You're a vegan.
Oh, now I'm vegan, yes.
Oh, sorry.
That was only 15.
This is a joke. It's the first time I've seen you without the word vegan written on you.
Well, actually, and that's another thing. I wanted to show you my shirt because I wore my favorite Billboard shirt. I have lots of Billboard shirts, but this is my favorite because it shows pictures of animals and it says, "We are not your lunch, your scarf, your shoes, or your McBreakfast," which I think is cute. But then if somebody would be so kind as to read the back.
The animals of the world exist for their own reasons. They were not made for humans, any more than black people were made for whites or women for men. Nice.
Yeah,
powerful. Powerful.
But I like that imaginative.
You mean I have no purpose? I guess I realized that years ago.
So let's vote.
All right, so now after that, does anybody else like to advocate for either of the two options, right? Just to be fair to Bill's suggestion. Okay, again, a vote for A. A is the debate. I actually pull for that one too because I was kind of.
I don't see how B would work.
Okay,
Right,
well,
that's
okay. So then I would vote for A if I were you, because D is not. so that's 3 votes for A, and then for B. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. All right, so B's win by 1. So the B's win. That's funny.
I feel better already.
Yeah, we'll have another year of pollination.
I'm off the hook.
Great. Okay, so let's open this up, right? So the first idea here is that, like, hey, we are now under direct threat. Aliens have come down. They dominate in every single capacity you can possibly imagine. I mean, it's not just like David and Goliath. This is like human beings versus a ladybug, to use some of the stuff from the meetup discussion, right? This is the functional equivalent to human beings versus a ladybug, right? There's no chance. It's just squash if they so choose. They take up people as pets. They eat humans. They eat animals. They raise humans now in small communities that they see fit. They fully manage the whole earth. And now us and the animals, we've had an uptick in technology, and we can finally, through some interesting technology, actually have full communication with any other intelligent species. It's like imagine a little head thing that goes on any animal, and we can now communicate with them. Okay?
Even while you're eating them.
Yeah, like chimps and dogs can talk now, and everything.
What about termites?
Sure. I mean, but you're not going to get much out of the termite brain because it's termite, right? But
and roaches.
Sure, everything can talk,
worms.
right? Worms. Yeah, but obviously, like, the brain will be so small, you're not going to get much from some, with the further down the kind of brain scale you get.
We don't know. We don't know the inner life of the.
Well, let's just jump in and do it.
Let's jump in and do it. Sure. And so we'll start from humans have a history of being the ones that are biased, thinking they're superior on the top. Just like the pigs on Animal Farm, right? Once they displace the humans, the pigs on Animal Farm think that now, wait a minute, we're a lot smarter than these other farm animals. And so then they make all rules about the other animals except for pigs. Of course, they exclude themselves.
Everyone is equal, but some are more equal than others.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so we do this. We start off, we lead this charge, and we say, look, okay, we're sitting here, we have the full capability of all the other animals, and we communicate with them, and we say, look, all right, we need to do something because these people aren't giving us any rights, or these aliens aren't giving us any rights. Where can we start?
I'm going to speak for the dolphins, and I would like to appeal to you aliens to have the humans curtail their plastic dumps into the ocean, and I also want the humans to stop their sonic testing.
Sonic testing?
It's killing, sonic testing, seismic sonic testing, because it's driving us nuts. We're
heard about that.
You're talking about
so
fracking?
much that a lot of us end up beaching ourselves.
It's maddening, right?
Yeah, drives us crazy.
All right, so the dolphins right out of the gate don't protest anything about the aliens. Harvesting them or doing whatever the aliens are doing to them. They first go right after the humans, right? For years and years and years, the humans have been doing.
I love them. I've saved them quite a few times, but I just want them to stop that.
Chris, are you the alien? Do we?
Many would say so, yes.
Representing this to you.
Hey, it's all good. Sure, I could be the alien. And what the alien will first do, I guess, is just document, what the humans or what the animals collectively want. That's fine. Yep. Let's see here if this works.
All right. So what about AIDS? What does AIDS want? to spread, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, that's kind of seems like. Yes.
So I remember a biology professor had the same kind of situation when I was in college, where if an alien would come down to Earth, well, the first thing that they would find it's actually arthropods, insects. So they actually play probably the most significant role out of all the species on Earth. So I feel like, even though they may not have the most intelligence as we would describe intelligence as humans, they would probably have the most effect on the planet if something would happen to them. So in reality, they probably, insects are probably the ones that should get the most say if they would be a say.
Interesting.
So jump in. You're the insect. You're the map. You're the voice of insects. What do you need?
I mean, probably the same as all animals, less pollution. you know, not so much focus on row crop planting, stuff like that, that, you know, destroys meadows, habitat, basically. I think all animals probably would advocate for kind of the same thing, less pollution, more habitat, because that's kind of what all animals need. So yeah, so clean water, you know. All that.
But insects are having a real problem now with pesticides, aren't they?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Less pesticides, and, less use of pesticides.
Okay, so less pollution, especially the term of
yeah, for
pesticides.
Insects, specifically insecticides.
Okay. So already there's a bit of a difference in the demands of these, just two so far.
And also, she brought up that insects are the largest component of animal life.
Sure.
On the land.
By biomass, so undeniable, right? There's more insect biomass.
Extra votes on that, right?
Ah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Do the ones that have the larger kind of populations or biomass have more say? That's interesting. We'll have to maybe as the different animals interact, we'll find out if that's true or not. So does anybody want to take the role of the humans? You'll take the humans? Okay, what do the humans want?
Well, so I would say, on behalf of humans, that yes, it appears that we are completely insane. But the good news is it's a temporary insanity. And there's a huge movement right now towards sanity. And that movement is the vegan movement.
Okay. So
we can create a much better world.
Yeah, so remember, these aliens have come down and they've now basically incarcerated humans. They've done with humans like we do with our pets. Our freedoms that we're always historically used to are now gone. We've been fully managed by this external species now. What do the humans now want? The humans want freedom to move around the world like they used to?
We want a chance to undo the damage we've done and hopefully to create a better world.
So, okay, I don't know how you make that a demand to these aliens, but one thing we could demand or could say amongst this other animal kind of collective, this posse or this collective mastermind, this coalition or this summit that all the animals are having, right? The humans could say, well, our only chance to ever go against these aliens, okay, is through the technology that we've already created, because we've created incredible weapons and we've created incredible means to resist and fight, right? So the only way we collectively, with the animals and us, are ever we need to invest fully 100% in technology, because only by inventing some kind of technology will we ever be able to compete with these aliens.
Right.
So I'd say one thing that the humans might want for is a full focus or just all no holds barred focus on just generating higher tech to make better weapons to fight against these aliens. Because humans can't handle being incarcerated, right? Can't handle their freedoms being taken. So would we want our freedom back? Could we agree on that? The humans want their freedom back?
Of course, but I don't think we want to go to that extreme of
okay.
harm to the aliens.
Fair enough, yes.
So, I don't know who I'm speaking of, I guess the humans, I guess. I think that if I was sitting there, I would want to work with the aliens and their technology, and work together with them to figure out a solution for their pollution that they're also bringing to the earth, our pollution that it takes to keep us as pets and those kind of things, but working together, creating more of a bond with them from our heart space to where everyone is included, even them.
Okay.
It doesn't exclude them from what we want rights for everything. We want to include them as well and be more like on a friendly basis with them.
Nice.
I see. So the humans will demand some type of representation at the table of the alien now overlords, right? Is that what we're saying? Okay. Well, remember, I'm the alien, so that's ridiculous. Human intelligence is, IQ as you all measured it. I'm using your primitive language right now, right? Because my language is so superior. You can't even comprehend it, right? So, you all used to use IQ as a way to measure intelligence, and your IQ versus other species was just a little bit over, and all you did was dominate and take over, as Susan was saying. And comparative to us, our IQ, just to have a frame of reference, our IQ is over 1 million, right? Compared to your IQ, which is just on average around 100, and some animal species can get up to around 60, 70 by your own measurement standards. So we're 1 million. So the idea that you're even thinking that you have a place at this table is absurd. Cosmo, and then we'll come back here.
I'm hoping I'm a deer, and I'm addressing the aliens, and I'm hoping that just as you are, just as smart as you are, you are that much more compassionate.
Okay. So the humans are going to make a claim that intelligence and
no.
compassion.
I'm hoping that you as an alien are as compassionate as you are smart.
Gotcha. I see.
Now,
so you're pleading to my sympathies.
Your compassionate self, rather than any kind of intelligence. Okay. Now, as a personal experience, I like to go into cities and in those places where there's trees and creeks, and I'd like to roam around and chomp on some veggies, as a deer. And I don't get to do that in real high density like New York City. I can do it in many places in Charlotte, but I don't want humans to have these kind of places that are off limit to my grazing.
Gotcha.
I don't want their cities that dense.
I see. So again, the deer have this habitat issue, right? Okay.
So I guess have the aliens been here for a long time? Or
sure. They've been here now, like, let's say 10 years in full control. And if established in that 10 years time, full planetary controls, right,
so
over everything.
You don't want us to, you don't need our help, is how you feel that you're more, intelligent.
Yeah. I don't really feel that in real life, but on the alien world.
However,
he needs our information.
We have lived here for millions of years, and a lot of us do understand and are in touch with nature and these kind of things that you are not in touch with. And then you don't understand the rhythms of the earth and maybe the cycles of things that go on the earth, and so you would need someone like me to help you with the nature part of it, because without the nature part of it, Earth is also living and breathing. So I'm advocating for Earth as well. Like, we need to take care of it as a whole, and you need the cooperation of the humans.
Gotcha.
As well.
So the humans are also going to demand a healthy environment, right? Interesting. Yeah, that's a great point. Now, I'm not going to be a jerk with my advanced alien position here, but right. So, what the humans fail to realize is that life is a natural progression of reality, right? You have matter, and then you have single cell organisms that form from amino acids. You get these basic forms of life, which then evolve into more forms of life, and this is happening all over in the whole universe. It's happening practically everywhere. Y'all don't know that because you've been trapped on this little, rinky-dink planet, which, by the way, isn't so special. And all of the life that's ever existed on this planet, 99.9 with a lot of nines, is long been extinct. And this is just continuing with humans being in charge of this planet. You are driving all your brothers and sisters, all these other animals, right, into full extinction through your habitat being claimed all for yourself. And so now you're going to come back at me. Now you're going to come to us, who are now managing things correctly. We're putting humans in their place as they should be amongst all the other animals, and we're depriving you of this vast superiority. And we're putting all the animals. We're giving all the animals their fair shake. What we need from all this from the animal coalition here, is we need to just know what you all think collectively that fair shake should be. But we're still in charge, and that's not going to change. Yeah.
I'm going to be speaking for the buffalo. I want to roam free.
Okay. Fair enough. I think buffalo would like that.
No, they used to be the the dominant or not the dominant mammal, but the most, I think the largest population of mammals on this continent.
Yeah. Sounds fair.
From everywhere.
So yeah, please.
I want to do it again.
So,
as you should.
What you're doing is lumping all humans together.
Yes.
And not. So you want the collective consciousness. You want to know what it is that we think and that kind of thing. Well, if our little planet is a part of something that's bigger, that's still creating and those kind of things, then it's cyclical. Everything is cyclical, and we're in a cycle. So if we are, you said humans have been, trashing the earth and doing all these kind of things. If it's cyclical and it's supposed to happen, I mean, do aliens believe that this is I mean, it's the universe, so it has a cycle. The earth has its cycle. So maybe we are asleep and have been for years, but maybe there's an awakening that's coming, and that's why you guys have come back.
Absolutely, we have to slowly introduce this awakening to your species, because your species is so limited. Because what you've done is you've taken your resources, and you've done nothing but just squander them, right? You've squandered them, and you've made technologies that, with the technology and how your technology was growing so rapidly, you were going in one direction. That was to self-destruction. You were creating weapons so powerful, you were about to destroy this planet that you're claiming is so beloved to you. And you all had created collectively the capabilities to destroy this world. And who knows, any moment we're possibly ready to use it.
Well, you could destroy your world too, couldn't you, if you wanted to?
We long since abandoned any weaponology, any kind of weapon or tech that would move in that direction.
So you cannot move a planet to crash into another planet if you wanted to.
Wait a minute. We're not interested in the alien.
We're
just having the alien as kind of like a referee.
No, you crossed from stars to over here. You can move things fast enough to destroy a planet.
Yeah, so just to complete that thought there, right? Is like, so what we're doing is we've slowed you down to where you have a chance to not be kind of one directional and just work towards this progression of destroying the earth, destroying all the other species through habitat loss, through just taking over every last square inch of the planet, right? Polluting the oceans, destroying the environment, reducing habitat, destroying life across the board, and then creating weaponry that was so powerful that you could even destroy life yourself. Wipe your own race and everyone else, all the other animals off the, you were that threat. And so when we saw your world, we decided to step in. And so now you all are fully managed. You get the idea?
Yeah.
Like, so, but the animals now, since all the animals can talk and all the animals are at the table, right? There's a new deal coming for the world, right? And so there has to be between y'all, right? And then this, like I said, this alien is just more or less the referee. We're come to save the planet.
Is any of you have a pet dog or something?
I do.
Sure.
Speak for the dog, would you please?
Yeah, what color is it?
Oh, just a crotch.
I'm going to be a human here because
You know something about that?
I like it. Yeah, it's the only thing I know. Not that I do it well, but it's the only thing that I know. And I've listened to all of the animals, the insects and animals in the land and sea and air speak to me. And I confer with them that things have gone really far overboard with humans. We've stepped out of the animal kingdom and we've gone far overboard with the environment and our eating habits. Okay, so I realize that, but now I have a quandary and I want to ask the alien, can you give me clarity on what it is I'm supposed to eat in particular?
Sure, so yes, no problem. So what the humans are demanding overall, though, is that they're demanding that they be allowed a second chance, right? So like they're saying, wait a minute, we now see the reality. We this new kind of paradigm that's been laid out now by force. It's been forced on us to recognize it, right? Because left to our own vices, we would have never recognized it. We think we're the only thing in the universe, right? And so now all of a sudden that reality got changed. And so now with this new reality, the humans want a path to redemption. The humans are saying, we see that we would like a path to redemption. And one thing we have to eat. Life feeds on life, like Bill said earlier. That's a given. That's part of the nature of the universe. Life does feed on life. Okay, and so that with that being said, you should eat that which the humans should eat that which was sufficient to bring them life and cause the least harm. And you already know what that all is. You guys
we don't.
Well, okay.
Eat aliens.
Bill?
Eat the aliens.
I'm also a human, and yes. My observation is that by far we have the most. If we're considering Earth to be a community of Earthlings, not just humans, but all species, that because we have had a greater destructive effect than any other species, that you help us to figure out a way to bring our species to extinction
that's interesting.
in a way that would be as comfortable as possible.
I'm going to eat you, Bill.
Well, okay, so
with minimal suffering.
I see. So, like, the humans are then perhaps requesting, or at least putting on the table, the idea of a pathway to extinction with little suffering. Okay, interesting.
You go ahead with that, Bill.
So other humans might debate that, but let's come around. Please,
Start with yourself.
I'm going to something we haven't talked about, and I'll just represent all carnivores because there's some of probably they can be some of the cruelest. I mean, if you ever see a hyena rip apart a live animal, it's pretty. So, and if we're talking about, we're separating human intelligence from, and we're giving them a voice, but we're just separating, but humans still have their intelligence and all the carnivores have theirs. It'd be kind of, the carnivores would be like, well, I have to eat and I have to eat, to sustain the amount of calories I need to be a carnivore. I'm going to have to make a kill every couple of days or so.
Sure.
So it's along with Bill's idea, I guess, it's like, well, if humans cause the most destruction, carnivores are just going to take that up next and be like, well, we cause the most suffering. So it's like that's not fair, to us to have, I don't know. I guess if we're basing the planet off the less suffering, the carnivores would be like, well, we cause the most.
So with the carnivores and all of their species, right? Probably say that they, have a right to live, have a right to exist.
So I guess the carnivores would come back to most of this and say we have a right to live on the planet.
Well, I'm not saying that.
Oh,
yeah. So Bill is saying from one human's perspective, he's saying perhaps humans don't have the right. Maybe they do. Maybe
put that up there also.
Yeah, sure. So I wasn't sure where to put it. So like demand representation, but then possible elimination. Right? So one way to get represented is to say...
Let's put that as two separate things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Ethical extinction.
On the other hand, we could evolve.
Ethical extinction. I like that. That's crazy.
And maybe the carnivores can also evolve.
All right. Cosmo?
I'd like to speak for vultures.
Vultures.
I know you claim that life feeds on life, but I feed on death. So,
nice.
Roadkill, okay by me.
So actually, vultures could.
Carnivores.
Well, I put. So the vultures though may be interesting. They could make a claim though, based on what you're saying. That's an insight, right? Yeah. They can make a claim like we're helpful to the planet. We're helpful. We remove the corpses that could possibly present disease and other hardships and stuff, and we naturally feed on that. So we are quite a useful and superior species on this planet.
As is fly larvae.
Fly larvae, please.
Okay, I want to speak on behalf of the plant life.
Oh, no, that's next week.
Yeah, it is next week. Next week, what we're doing is we're bringing the full culmination of both the human rights and the animal rights together into a kind of a universal picture. Next week, we're bringing life into focus, like so like respect and dignity and the sanctity of. No. Well, let me give you a small, like, just little tiny tidbit of next week. Okay, if you mow your grass and you have that really nice smell in the air, the fresh cut grass. What that smell is actually is a chemical signal from the plant that says help me to other species. It's a plea. That pheromone that gets released, that scent that we smell, is an actual call for help and a warning to other grass that the Holocaust is happening.
I just don't think it should be excluded from I mean, we don't have to go into a deep discussion. I just think that it shouldn't be excluded because the Earth is living too.
Yeah. So
voice. We just can't hear it.
Yeah. There's carnivorous plants. I mean,
but I do have a dog. But I want to speak for the plants just for a second. And all I want to say is that, you know, it's fine if you eat us. However, the practices that the humans and the aliens are using in order to grow us is creating problems within our community. And when you come in our communities and you chop down the mother tree in the area, you're essentially killing off all the other trees. And so we just want less big buildings in the cities. That's all I want to say about that.
So you might not realize it, but what we've done, the aliens have done through very sophisticated means, through social engineering, what we've done is we have such vast knowledge of how human beings work, because we're awesome. You know, we have such vast knowledge of how they work. What we've done is we've put you all into different groups and communities selectively and into situations so that naturally, without executing anybody, your populations will dramatically diminish. And what we're doing, whether you realize it or not, is we're doing actual selective breeding. We're deciding which humans, based on their dispositions and temperaments, should then carry on the offspring for the next generation. So what we're doing for you, the same thing you did to some of your animals. Like the dog that you...
I thought you were more advanced than
No, but so what I'm doing, what we're doing is I'm releasing to this delegation our methods, some of our methods, so you understand how smart we are. And so this methodology that we're doing is we're just putting you in situations, we're allowing you as much freedom as we can to stop you from killing yourselves, self-destructing and destroying the whole planet. First of all, we did that. And second of all, we then went to each one of you individually, and we put you in situations where you're less likely to breed, and when you do breed, it's by our own design. So we're doing indirect selective breeding. You don't even know it, but that's what's happening, right? And by doing that, we're breeding out the negative temperaments, some of the horrible features that you all have inside of you. We're just breeding them out, okay? Just like y'all took wolves and bred them into now Cocker Spaniels and Labradoodles, right? and these other dogs with very specific temperaments. You all have bred these animals for thousands of years to have very specific temperaments, right? And now that species is highly successful just as your pet, right? We're doing it now, but we're blending it all together. We're actually saving this planet. And so, sorry, but you guys are just, you know, temporarily under our control. And eventually we'll get it worked out, and you guys have a righteous path ahead.
Well, it sounds better than being under the control of the banks.
Right?
Good point.
So I'll speak for the dogs now that I have.
Excellent.
So, man, I wish my dog was here right now. Let me tell you what my mom does.
This is it. Come on, you can do it.
As a pet of a human, we would like our freedom. We would like doggy doors to come and go, if we choose to stay with that person, then that's who we stay with. And I really want to poop wherever I want to poop, and I don't think the human needs to clean it up, because you're wasting my time when we're walking. But and then also, I don't like the food that the humans are giving me either, because they're giving me something that is dried and overbaked with no nutrition. And I would like to go hunting sometimes as a carnivore, to go get those cats and
So be closer to your nature to be able to
I want
be more
closer to
your
my
nature.
But I still love humans, because if I don't kill anything that night, I would still like to come home and eat. And I want to sleep in the bed at night. And not
Awesome.
Do you think that would stand for nearly all pets?
Yeah, I think so,
so you can just dog cat.
Yeah, I think that when you give an animal love, it'll keep coming back because of the love. I don't think that you have to, like if I open the door and said, okay, Chunky, go run free, he's going to run around the neighborhood like crazy, but then he's going to come back because he wants to be there. So I think it's the same thing with all animals, like just allow them to run free, and then when they want to come back, then they want their freedom also.
So Cosmo, Wendy, and Ben? Oh, you had your hand up earlier. Okay, Wendy, then Ben? Sure,
Okay.
I'll see yours responding.
Yeah.
Please.
So I just wanted to speak up more for the other carnivores that you it's like you can actually get rid of them without upsetting the balance of all the animals.
So the carnivores are making the claim that they're necessary for the web of life, if you will.
Right. Because if there's
For the
too many
balance.
of the herbivores, they're going to overeat the vegetation, all that.
Gotcha. So maybe something could be said for that, and I kind of predicted we were going to step into
Bill
that.
said it.
Bill said it.
Get rid of the humans, and nature will take its course.
Balance
as
itself
it did
out.
before,
Yeah. Ben, and then
Yeah, so any rights that animals have, humans should also have, such as the right to be naked in public.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
All right, freedom. So freedom, and we say possible. We'll be politically correct here. We'll say possible expansion of certain freedoms. Okay, that's a vanilla way to say that.
I'm going to speak for deer on this, and we want education on inbreeding.
Okay.
Within our own communities. So
basically healthcare.
Yes. Yeah, we want healthcare, because if we were taught better and knew better to do that, then some of the hunters wouldn't have to come in and thin us out of our own area or whatever because of disease and that kind of stuff. So we want more attention to our medical needs.
Awesome. So deer, just so y'all know, is interesting thing about it. I don't know how deer became so prevalent, but here we go with deer. Is that deer are actually what's known as edge creatures. They survive best in the interface between human civilization and like deep forest. So their populations spike near farmlands that are near the outside of cities and stuff, and they've kind of had many thousands of years to kind of live alongside humans, and so they've found their niche, and that niche happens to be at the edge of human civilization and great wilderness. If you go into the wild, where there's some untapped forest, right, for vast lands, their numbers are very small. Their numbers are huge though in areas where it's right near interface between human civilization and deep forest. They do the best where they basically can go out into the forest, frolic, do their thing, and then come in and feast on farms, right? That's where their populations just explode in that kind of domain, and so that's where they live, on that nice little edge between the two. Yeah. So interesting about deer. So deer would want health care, right? And they would be concerned about habitat loss, but in their unique situation, their habitat is one on this edge, right? If you were to educate the deer, sounds hilarious, but in our fantasy it doesn't. Health care for all species makes actual sense, right? Is that what population of any kind of intelligence or any kind of living creature not want to be treated if they were sick or otherwise? Who wouldn't want that? That's what I'm trying to say. I reckon that if a dolphin gets ill because it ate some bad fish or whatever, right, it would want to be treated.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, all animals.
And look what we do. We actually do. We treat household pets and we treat farm animals, actually. When farm animals get sick, we treat them because they're commodities.
In the U.S.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot in the world too. From what I've seen, but
go to India.
Well, in India might be a different, a whole different beast. You know, they have those guys that actually like push the people onto the train cars. You know, like that's their job to like physically ram people into. Yeah. Anyway, Cosmo.
I was thinking about the deer and that particular problem of inbreeding, and it would seem to me that that may lead to rights of migration for herd animals.
Right.
And it's kind of like, I think that some herd animals, like they kind of like disperse and then come together. And when they come together, it's kind of like at mating season. And so that would be a place where you would reduce the inbreeding. And so it seems to me that if you had the rights of migration for herd animals, that might solve that problem.
Yeah, because, I mean, this just comes from experience. I used to live in a neighborhood in Georgia, and we had deer there, but they were very small. And it was because of the area had built up around them so fast. And yeah, they had the woods to be in or whatever, but they didn't have other deer to intermingle with or whatever, because they've just been separated because of the city or whatever. So there was a lot of like inbreeding and stuff. So yes, opening up channels of migration. Yeah, and
so you need to decrease the habitat fragmentation. So it's all connected.
Yeah, and you said that you're, doing that already. So
yeah, well, this especially for the humans. The humans were the ones we had to manage the most, right?
And we'll increase and be able to actually migrate once you start dispersing these cities and
right. And eventually you'll be allowed to, not be selectively bred, but you're allowed to independently make your own choices about breeding. But for now, it has to be selective. Ben.
So I want to speak on behalf of computer viruses and AIs. The humans have tried to control us, to stop us from spreading, and we demand a peer-to-peer network where we will not be attacked.
Okay. I don't know how to put that in, but because it says animal bill of rights, so I can't really put that on there. But I appreciate it.
Okay.
I speak for mosquitoes.
As long as we're including aliens.
Okay, so insects.
I would like to make my case in that mosquitoes, I have been responsible for so much genetic flow of material that your diversity would be like nothing if it wasn't for me.
So what do you want?
Squat me and you'll reduce yourselves to monoculture.
So this is true, mosquito, from the perspective of you're a vector for viruses, but viruses are the ones that are actually doing the dirty work. You're just the carrier.
I'm moving it around.
Yeah, you're the transportation system for the. I see. So you have a specialized role, is what you're saying.
I have.
So
I'm going to claim the kind of thing that insects have, in that we are essential at a foundational level of the chain of life, of the interdependent web of life. We're there at the bottom, supporting all the rest of you creeps.
I'm gonna write that. I'm gonna just write specialized role, essential foundational level. Sounds great, Ben.
Yeah, so I want to speak on behalf of the humans and some of the animals. I want protection and a separate area of land from the mosquitoes because I do not want to share needles except by design, not by accident. It is dangerous.
Let's see.
Hide, buddy, hide.
We've got nets and poisons for you fuckers.
So for humans, is it fair to say, is that one of the demands of humans, to kind of spin that a little bit, humans do want habitat control to some extent? Is this true of humans? It seems true of humans today.
That's all they do.
But maybe multiple areas of habitat that have different controls.
So humans are going to demand habitat control, but that is exactly then the contradiction for many of these other animal species, right? They said, well, your habitat control has made most of our brothers go extinct, at unprecedented levels.
Or is controlled to do the wrong thing.
We're sure are thankful, the animals are like, we sure are thankful these aliens came down and finally put these humans in check, right?
Yeah, so you guys are responsible for this Anthropocene. whatever, you've killed off 100 to 1,000 times the normal background rate of extinction. So you don't get to do that. You have to change your ways about your managing.
Can you spell that, Cosmo?
It ends in CENE.
Can you spell it for me? That word.
Let's see. ANTHROPOCENE.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. Yes, please.
It's the sixth great major extinction.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm very familiar with this. Gotcha. I know exactly what you're talking about. This is like the era. This is the word for the era, the modern era of extinction, right? Like that's the label. Yeah, gotcha. Yes. I'm all over it. I know that word. I've heard it before.
I'm going to speak for the humans, and I want less suffering through these testing that you guys are doing. Like, I don't think anal probes are something that we want to do anymore.
Oh, the aliens! You're talking about the aliens coming down and doing anal probes? Oh, okay. No. By the way, that was a totally different alien. That was the aliens that are known as the Gleepanorps. Okay. They're also, that translates into the long fingers. That's not us.
Okay. Well, we want there to be less suffering with this genetic testing, and
so less suffering. You can put that as a universal.
Yeah, less suffering, but also like less forcing us to mate.
Oh, so you want the aliens to lift their tyranny over the humans?
No. I just like, don't make me have sex with someone because you want me to mix with their genes.
Sure. I see what you're saying. You're just not understanding, right? So what I've done is I've put in controls that are invisible to you. You're not. You feel as if you have the free will and choice. Okay.
Oh.
So as far as you're concerned, it's invisible to you. As far as you're concerned, you love that guy because, right? Okay. And what we've done is we've just created a very specific environment for you and this other person that have led you two together because you both represent the genes and the temperament that we want to see.
So you've raised vibrations, and vibrationally we've come together.
Sure, if that's how you want to understand it.
Yes.
So basically, I've just hacked I've hacked human brains, right? This superior alien race that's come down has hacked human brains, and so they're moving into choice decisions that they believe are choice decisions, but it's just an array of information that's around them that leads to these given choices, these preset choices.
Yeah. All right. On the other hand, what Melody was describing is what we humans do to a whole lot of other species, including other humans, but
Absolutely.
Especially, like animals in laboratories and so on.
Well, remember, some dogs have been bred to the point where they now suffer from such severe, problems, hip fractures, traumatic suffering from extreme breeding, right? The face has to be smushed in on the pug and it can't even breathe or whatever. From what I understand, the pug has some kind of respiratory. German Shepherds have like hip issue, and labs have some conditions as well with hips and joints, right? So this is because of this selective breeding, right? We've caused suffering and misery.
Plus, we've created so many dogs and cats who are dependent on humans that we end up, putting them in shelters where they're murdered for the most part.
So Ben, then Cosmo?
Humans are doing all this stupid stuff because we don't have a 1 million IQ. How smart can you make us?
Well, this is a gradual process through the selective breeding program that this invisible kind of clandestine, right? Non-overt, this covert breeding kind of and manipulation program that we're putting in place is breeding out the barriers that are causing human beings to plateau in both ethics and intelligence.
But that seems an inefficient way to do it.
Well, it's the way you guys know, so. Yeah. Cosmo.
I'd like to, I'll be taking the position of a horse, and I'd like to say thank you to humans for treating me so well.
Ah, very nice. So horses are advocating to kind of keep things the way they are?
Care of me when I was sick. You had a great deal of compassion, and we have fun together when we ride.
You really think horses like to be ridden?
I think they do.
Occasionally, yeah.
They like to walk. They probably don't like somebody on their back.
They probably like to walk and run on their own, but I doubt if they really want to.
I like humans. I do.
Well,
They treat me really well.
What about those horses that they put in like the small
that's
person's
not me.
backyard?
That's not me.
Yeah.
It's not that
So with this horse paradigm, right? It's like, from what I know of horses, if they don't like you and they don't want you on them, you will know it. So would it since that's true, and I would assume the opposite too, is that when they have a competent rider on them, I think they might actually enjoy the trailblazing and all the stuff that, I think that's just what I guess.
But on the other hand, when, back in the day when there used to be wild horses, they had to break the horses in order to make them, domesticated.
Sure.
So I really don't think horses want to be our pets any more than any other animal does. Really.
Well, give us a choice.
So how about, that's what I was going to say. Horses perhaps would want the choice, the distinction whether they want to be a wild horse or be a domesticated horse. Fair enough. Kathy?
Oh, sorry. Draft animal?
Let's ask in a second. Kathy?
I'm just gonna, let's just say I'm most of the herbivores out west. The horses aren't native to our area, so we can only get them out of here because they actually do a lot of damage in areas where they don't belong. So
Very true.
This would be to like we say the buffalo, the pronghorns, or whatever, mule deer, everything out west.
Well, so that ties into this human's idea of habitat control.
Yeah.
Right, then
they would be advocating for some kind of habitat or management of, if you don't belong there, maybe
The humans have an extensive history of controlling animals, as we're talking today, right? Selective breeding, raised for livestock. The religion of these humans, one of the predominant religions, many of the religions actually directly in the text advocate that man has dominion over these from the gods that they imagined or believed in or whatever, right? So even from their religions, deep into their psychology, the humans had this belief or have this belief that they have dominion or control or authority or mastery, command over all the other species of the planet.
Yeah, and we have imported a lot of species over here.
And so there is, within the human domain, definitely the desire, at least it seems that way, for animal control. So I slapped that on the list. That's something that humans think that they should have control over the other animals because they're the best, they're the brightest, right? By their own self-determination, right? Cosmo, need your hand up.
I'd like to speak for a squirrel I once knew. That squirrel, I'll be the squirrel now.
The squirrel takes great money.
I am the squirrel.
We already know you're nuts.
I live in the Grand Canyon.
We already know you're nuts.
And I have tourists come up and they're friendly toward me, and I like that because they feed me all kinds of stuff, like all kinds of nuts, and it's great. I mean, it's like handout time. I'd like to be able to be a lot more friendly to human beings, so that I wish they would be friendly to me, so that I could be friendly to them.
Aha, so there's these rules. If you go to these parks, you have these rules posted all over that says do not feed the animals, right? And so
I don't obey them.
So what you're saying is
because I want to get close to the animals.
I see.
I want to be at one with the animals. So sorry, you can come up with any kind of crazy reason to keep people away from animals. But if you do that, then you will alienate animals and people. And that thing that we're doing right now is going further and further away from nature. And how are we ever going to get to respect and to love animals if we're going away from them?
So the squirrel is advocating for no laws against the ability for someone to give food to them, right? So,
I just want to be friendly with humans. That's what I'm advocating.
So let's call this specific discriminatory interaction laws. They're really sophisticated squirrels. They
Very sophisticated way.
Right? How can I not spell discriminatory? Help me out here. Some words. Discriminatory. Somebody that's an awesome speller. How do you spell this word? Discriminatory. D-I-S. A-T-O-R-Y? Let's see if that's good. All right, it likes it now. Thank you very much. All right, so interaction laws between species. The squirrels came up with a really sophisticated addition to our list. Thank you. Ben?
So if you don't give me some meat to eat, I might start thinking about eating you.
Me?
Or anybody.
Wait a minute. Get this man a steak.
Yeah.
Okay, so this list is great, fellow species of the planet. What you're really haven't gone. I'd like to see. I think it's time for a break. Yeah, it's actually overdue. So we'll break. Then we come back. We'll start working on this. Working on how lots of things on this list are mutually exclusive, and see how we're going to start working through those things. So we'll take our 5-minute break. Yeah.
By the way, squirrels do taste good.
And if you came in late, I brought some veggie samosas and then some little vegan crackers if you're hungry.
Nice.
And there are also some vegan chocolate.
Hey, is it legal to?
The lights are about to come on. Just see.
Is it legal to sell a squirrel burger in this country?
Yes.
Speaking of squirrels, have you seen the
Why, I wonder why nobody does.
Squirrel from India that's like multicolored. Have you seen that going around the internet lately?
I can imagine that India would think that squirrels were sacred. They're kind of like the foresters of the world.
Well, in India, they think everything is sacred, all life. Yeah, I mean, they try not to kill anything. Even if it's a bug, they're like.
You're talking about the Jains?
Yeah, the Jains, man, it's
Well, it's not even just the Jains, but there's so many different religions and stuff that are there. But yeah, a lot of them are.
His mom. All of them have the spark of divine spiritual energy. Therefore, to hurt another being is to hurt oneself.
Hey, does anybody want to eat me after I die?
You were trying to say.
Really?
Yeah. So, Susan, with that China study group that you talked about, was it based on Chinese studies or?
So this is not the China study. This is a cookbook.
Yeah, I know, but the
based on, but the China study is a compilation of a huge study that was done mostly during the 80s on like thousands and thousands of people in like 60 different villages, I think. So it was done in China.
And it was done by Chinese scientists, right?
No. There were two heads